Do you believe a movie so controversial that every major studio in Hollywood rejected it? A film where the lead actress actually discovered three 500-year-old artifacts while filming, and a production that spent $30,000 on a song they never even used. This is Summer Lovers, and trust me, you've never heard these stories before. Fact 1. Columbia Pictures called it too racy.
I feel a little overdressed.
We'll take your top down.
Not today.
Come on.
Here's how you know you've written something spicy. Randall Kleiser takes his script to Columbia Pictures. They read it. They pay him $150,000 for it. Then they panic. This is too racy, they cry, throwing the script back at him like a hot potato. But here's the twist. This was 1981, not 1951. We're talking about the studio that made Taxi Driver and The Way We Were. What exactly was in that script that made them run screaming? Well, Kleiser's original version featured a true three-way relationship, with Kathy and Lena being genuinely intimate with each other, not just sharing a guy. Columbia wasn't ready for bisexual love triangles in their summer blockbusters. Little did they know, they just handed Kleiser the freedom to make his movie exactly how he wanted. Fact 2. The French actress made an archaeological discovery. Valérie Quennesson wasn't just playing an archaeologist.
It'd be good to
Take
be
my
on the same
hand.
land.
Watch out!
She became one by accident. The production secured unprecedented permission to film at the actual Akrotiri archaeological site on Santorini, believed by some to be the inspiration for Plato's Atlantis. They set up the cameras. They positioned Quennesson in the dig site. The director yells action. And then, plot twist, Quennesson actually uncovers several pieces of genuine 30,500-year-old Minoan pottery. The entire crew stops filming. Real archaeologists rush over. The pottery gets carefully cataloged and added to the scientific collection. Meanwhile, Quennesson is standing there thinking, I thought I was just supposed to pretend to be an archaeologist. Talk about method acting taken to the extreme. She literally made history while making a movie. Fact 3. Nastassja Kinski almost played the French role. Randall Kleiser had his dream casting all figured out.
Later.
He wanted Nastassja Kinski, fresh off her success in Tess, to play the seductive French archaeologist Lena. Perfect choice, right? European mystique, proven talent, already a rising star. So Kleiser offers her the role. Kinski reads the script. She likes it. And she makes one fatal mistake. She asks Paul Schrader for advice. Schrader, who had just directed her in Cat People, takes one look at the Summer Lovers script and says, don't do it. It's not classy enough for you. Kinski listens to Schrader and passes on the role. Here's the kicker. Kleiser now plays Words with Friends every day with Paul Schrader, but they've never once discussed this decision. Imagine that awkward conversation over Scrabble tiles. Instead, we got Valérie Quennesson, who was absolutely perfect, and tragically, this became her final film. Fact 4. They paid $30.
Let's get out of here!
Zeros in for a song they cut. Hollywood accounting gets weird, but this one takes the cake. 3 weeks after filming wrapped, Filmways Pictures decides they absolutely must have the Pointer Sisters song Slow Hand in their movie. They negotiate. They pay $30, zero serious money in 1982. Then someone in the editing room has a brilliant realization. Wait, this song doesn't actually work with our movie. So they cut it out entirely. Gone. Deleted. $30,000 down the drain. But here's where it gets really stupid. They'd already used Slow Hand in the theatrical trailer, which had already been shipped to theaters nationwide. So they couldn't get their money back because technically, the song was still in the Summer Lovers promotional materials. Imagine explaining that to your accountant. We paid $30. Zero for 2 minutes of a song that appears in the trailer but not the actual movie. Fact 5. The cinematographer walked away mid-shoot.
What'd you do last night?
Went to the Kiklos Cafe. I met a Greek boy.
Timothy Galfs was the original director of photography, probably excited to capture all that gorgeous Greek island scenery. Then something went horribly wrong. Halfway through production, Galfs just left, packed up his cameras, and walked away. Nobody talks about why he left. The replacement cinematographer is literally unknown, not credited anywhere. It's like they tried to erase this drama from the official record. But here's the Hollywood twist that'll make your head spin. Because of union rules, Galfs still got his full $85,000 salary. He got paid the same as if he'd finished the entire movie. He literally got paid $85,000 to quit his job halfway through. Meanwhile, some mystery cinematographer had to step in and finish shooting one of the most visually iconic films of the early 80s, and we don't even know their name. Fact 6. The real villa became a tourist shrine.
Mike. Good morning.
It's a great morning.
You know you've made a cult classic when your filming location becomes a pilgrimage site. The stunning white villa where Michael and Kathy stay in Oia, Santorini, wasn't just a movie set, it was a real house with real owners. In 1987, 5 years after the movie came out, a couple bought that exact villa. But instead of just living there quietly, they turned it into a gift shop. And what did they name it? Summer Lovers. Think about that for a second. They bought a house specifically because it was in a movie, then turned their home into a tribute to that movie. Fans now make pilgrimages to Santorini just to shop where Peter Gallagher and Daryl Hannah pretended to live. It's like if someone bought the house from Home Alone and turned it into a hardware store called Kevin's Traps. Brilliant or insane? You decide. Fact 7. Daryl Hannah predicted her own career. Sometimes life imitates art in the weirdest ways.
It's open until 9, and there you'll find everything you need to set up housekeeping. It's for you.
In Summer Lovers, Daryl Hannah's character Kathy makes an offhand comment. I used to dream I was a mermaid. Just a throwaway line, right? Wrong. 2 years later, Ron Howard cast Daryl Hannah as the literal mermaid in Splash, the role that launches her into Hollywood stardom, playing exactly what her Summer Lovers character dreamed of becoming. Here's what makes it even weirder. There's no way Hannah or anyone else could have known Splash was coming. That script didn't exist yet. So either Hannah has psychic powers, or the universe has a very strange sense of humor. Imagine if every throwaway line actors said in movies came true. I've always wanted to be a billionaire superhero. Cut to Robert Downey Jr. becoming Tony Stark. Fact 8. They had to glue fake grapes to real vines. Filming in Paradise sounds amazing until you realize Paradise doesn't follow. Hollywood schedules. The crew arrives in Greece during off-season, when grapevines are bare and brown. But the script calls for lush, abundant grape harvests. So what do you do when reality doesn't match your movie? You get creative. The art department bought already picked grapes and literally re-glued them to the vines, one by one. Imagine being the crew member whose job title was Grape Reattacker, but it gets more ridiculous. They also built artificial tide pools at Matala Bay on Crete, and Kleiser even constructed a fake rock to create the perfect beachside cove. They were basically rebuilding the entire Greek coastline to match their vision. The irony? They're making a movie about natural, uninhibited living by creating the most artificial environment possible. Fact 9. A Dutch tourist became an actor by accident. Hans van Tongeren was just some Dutch guy. On vacation in Greece. Wrong place, right time. He's wandering around the filming locations, probably trying to get a good photo, when Daryl Hannah spots him in the crowd. Something about this random tourist catches her eye. She walks up to him. Imagine being a tourist and having a movie star approach you and says, "Hey, want to be in our movie?" Hannah introduces Van Tongeren to director Randall Kleiser. They chat for a few minutes. Kleiser likes him. Boom, Van Tongeren is now cast as Jan, Lena's jealous love interest. No audition, no agent, no headshots. Just pure accidental casting. From tourist with a camera to movie actor in one conversation. That's the kind of thing that only happens in movies, except this time it happened while making a movie. Fact 10. The makeup artist Impossible Jubba meet Katia Despotadou, who had perhaps the most thankless job in movie history. Her mission: ensure that all the actors' tans matched perfectly throughout the movie, even though scenes were filmed completely out of sequence. Think about this logically. Day 1, you film the ending where everyone's perfectly bronzed. Day 15, you film the beginning where they just arrived in Greece. Day 30, you film the middle where they're getting tan. How do you make sure Peter Gallagher doesn't go from pale to dark to medium tan as the movie progresses? Despotadou had to track every actor's skin tone in every scene and artificially adjust their makeup to create a seamless tanning timeline. She basically became a human continuity computer, calculating tan gradients like a mathematics professor. Meanwhile, the actors are actually getting more tan every day because they're filming in the Greek sun. It was like trying to paint a picture on a canvas that keeps changing colors. Fact 11. Christopher Atkins had a secret cameo.
A few things.
Tell me one.
When I was in high school, I used to fantasize about being tied up and ravaged by the entire swim team.
Here's a blink and you'll miss it Easter egg that connects Summer Lovers to the Blue Lagoon. In one scene, There's a Greek magazine lying around with a photograph of Christopher Atkins, Brooke Shields' co-star, from Kleiser's previous Tropical Paradise movie. This wasn't product placement or cross-promotion. This was Kleiser having fun with his own filmography. He literally planted a photo of his previous movie star into his current movie, like a director's inside joke. But think about the meta-narrative here. The characters in Summer Lovers are living out their own version of the Blue Lagoon. Young people discovering love and sexuality on a beautiful island. By including Atkins' photo, Kleiser is suggesting that his Greek island lovers might have seen the Blue Lagoon and thought, "We want that life." It's a movie referencing another movie about people living like people in movies. Inception-level filmmaking right there. Fact 12. The script was too bisexual for 1982 Hollywood. Randall Kleiser's original vision was way ahead of its time. Kleiser's original vision was way ahead of its time. His first draft depicted Kathy and Lena having genuine romantic feelings for each other, with Kathy even questioning whether she was more attracted to Michael or Lena. A true love triangle, not just two women sharing one man. But 1982 Hollywood wasn't ready for that level of sexual complexity. Every studio demanded the same change. Remove any suggestion of attraction between the women. Make it purely about the man's fantasy. Kleiser knew this would happen. He fully expected the studios to reject the bisexual elements. But he wanted to write the authentic story first, then compromise later. The final film still hints at the attraction between Kathy and Lena, but never explicitly shows it. Daryl Hannah and Valerie Quennison knew about the original script and tried to play their scenes with that unspoken attraction. Watch their interactions carefully. There's a whole subtext there that the studio censored but the actresses preserved. Fact 13. The film's title changed multiple times. Summer Lovers
It wasn't the fireworks you imagine.
Too bad.
I'm not lying.
Tell me, Michael.
wasn't always called Summer Lovers. The project went through multiple title changes during production, like a movie having an identity crisis. The original working title was different. Though the exact first title isn't documented, we know that by October 1981, just before filming wrapped, they were still changing the name. The industry trade papers announced yet another title change right at the end of production. This suggests that even the filmmakers weren't sure what story they were telling. Were they making a movie about summer romance? About lovers? About Greece? About a threesome? The shifting titles reflect a movie trying to figure out its own identity. In the end, Summer Lovers was probably the safest choice, vague enough to suggest romance without being too explicit about the unconventional relationship. Dynamics, Marketing 101. When in doubt, be generic. Fact 14. It was the last film for Filmways Pictures. Summer Lovers carries the unique distinction of being the final theatrical release from Filmways Pictures before the studio ceased to exist. On August 31, 1982, just weeks after Summer Lovers hit theaters, Filmways was officially renamed Orion Pictures. So in a weird way, Summer Lovers is like a studio's swan song, the last gasp of a Hollywood entity before it transformed into something else entirely. The movie itself is about transformation and new relationships. How fitting that it marked the transformation of its own studio. Think about all the executives at Filmways watching their final film premiere, knowing their company name would disappear forever in a few weeks. Were they proud of going out with this particular movie? Did they think if we're going to die as a studio, at least we're dying with naked people in Greece? History doesn't record their feelings, but it's a poetic ending for a movie company. Fact 15. The music budget was insane. The Summer Lovers soundtrack is legendary, featuring Chicago's Hard to Say I'm Sorry, the Pointer Sisters' I'm So Excited, and Depeche Mode's Just Can't Get Enough. But those hits came with a price tag that would make today's indie filmmakers weep. The total music licensing costs reached approximately $300. Zero, and this is 1982 money, which equals roughly $900,000 today. For perspective, many entire independent films are made for less than what Summer Lovers spent just on song rights. But here's the really wild part. They spent more on music licensing, $300,000, than they did on editing the entire movie, $269,480. They literally valued the soundtrack more than the actual filmmaking craft of putting the scenes together. This was the early MTV era, when pop songs could make or break a movie. Summer Lovers bet everything on creating the perfect musical experience, and honestly, it worked. People still buy this soundtrack 40 years later. Fact 16. Valerie Quennison's tragic real-life ending. This fact gets dark, so bear with me. Valerie Quennison, the mesmerizing French actress who played Lena, chose Summer Lovers as her final film role. After filming ended, She decided to retire from acting to focus on raising her children. 7 years later, in 1989, Quenison died in a car accident at age 31. She was gone just as her Summer Lovers performance was achieving cult status among film fans discovering the movie on home video. There's something haunting about watching her in Summer Lovers now, knowing it was her farewell to cinema. Her performance has this ethereal quality that feels even more poignant in retrospect. She's playing a character who's about to lose the people she loves, and in real life, audiences were about to lose her. Critics often praise her luminous screen presence and those unforgettable eyes. She left us with one perfect performance, frozen forever in the Greek sunlight. Fact 17. The production built fake Greek coastline. Filming in the actual Greek islands wasn't enough. Kleiser, he needed to improve on Paradise itself. The crew engaged in some serious geographical modification to get their perfect shots. At Crete's Matala Bay, they built artificial tide pools because the natural ones weren't photogenic enough. Kleiser constructed an entirely fake rock formation to create the ideal beachside cove. They were literally rebuilding the Mediterranean coastline to match their vision. But the most absurd detail? They did all this construction in one of the most naturally beautiful places on Earth. It's like renovating the Grand Canyon because it's not scenic enough. The irony is palpable, making a movie about natural, uninhibited living by creating the most artificial environment possible. They were trying to capture authentic Greek island life by faking the actual Greek islands. The question remains, if Greece isn't good enough for your Greek movie, what exactly are you making? Fact 18. John Waters called it bad taste and loved it. When David Letterman asked provocative filmmaker John Waters to give an example of recent bad taste in cinema, Waters immediately chose Summer Lovers. But here's the twist, he meant it as a compliment. Waters praised the film for being about being young, rich, stupid, and nude, celebrating exactly what critics condemned. In the Waters universe, bad taste is the highest form of artistic achievement. This endorsement from the king of transgressive cinema gave Summer Lovers unexpected art house credibility. Suddenly, the movie dismissed by mainstream critics was being championed by one of America's most influential underground filmmakers. Waters understood what others missed. Summer Lovers isn't trying to be respectable, it's trying to be a beautiful, hedonistic fantasy. Once you stop expecting Oscar-worthy drama and start appreciating it as expensive eye candy, it becomes brilliant. Sometimes you need a master of bad taste to recognize good trash. Fact 19. The daily budget could buy a house. Here's a number that'll make your head spins. According to Esquire magazine, each day of filming Summer Lovers cost approximately $54,000 in 1981 dollars. That's roughly $170,000 per day in today's money. To put this in perspective, the median home price in America in 1981 was $68,900. So every 3 days of filming cost more than most people's houses. They were literally burning through real estate money to capture people lying on beaches. The total budget reached $5.3 million, or $7 million after interest and overhead. That's serious money for what's essentially a very expensive vacation video with professional actors. But you know what? It shows us on screen. Every frame of Summer Lovers looks like it cost a fortune, because it did. Sometimes the most wasteful productions create the most visually stunning results. They bought Paradise and put it on film forever. Fact 20. The villa's mysterious Band-Aid continuity error. Here's the kind of detail only obsessive movie fans notice, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. When Kathy and Michael arrive at their Greek villa, Daryl Hannah has a Band-Aid on her left arm, clearly visible when Michael playfully knees her. Cut to the next scene where she picks up a showerhead and pretends it's a telephone. Band-Aid completely gone. Then she walks outside with Michael, and magically the Band-Aid reappears. This isn't just a continuity error, it's a continuity error that survived multiple edits, color corrections, and final cuts. Somehow, nobody in the entire post-production process noticed that Daryl Hannah's Band-Aid was playing peekaboo with the camera. But here's what makes it perfect. In a movie about people shedding their inhibitions and embracing imperfection, maybe a disappearing Band-Aid is the ideal metaphor. Sometimes the flaws make it more human. And there you have it, 20 facts that prove Summer Lovers is way weirder and more fascinating than anyone gave it credit for. From archaeological discoveries to studio scandals, from fake grapes to real heartbreak, this movie packed more behind-the-scenes drama than most Oscar winners. The next time someone dismisses it as just another 80s guilty pleasure, remember, this is the film that was too racy for every studio in Hollywood, featured an actress who actually discovered ancient artifacts, and cost more per day than most people's houses. Sometimes the most ridiculous movies have the most incredible stories. What's the weirdest fact that surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the movies that time forgot, but probably shouldn't have.